Good morning and welcome back to Castle Motorsports Park. We are live from Newcastle, Indiana for the second round of the Stars Championship Series, the King of the Castle. It's been an action-packed weekend so far here, Simon, and I mean it's been great. But already we're starting off with a pretty bit of a wet morning warm-up here. As always, my name is Caleb Yeska, and alongside me here, Simon Sykes. Xander Clements hopping in the booth today as well, and we're going to bring you guys all the intel and all the live coverage here from the entire Kart Chaser crew and the entire Stars Championship Series crew. But we already have some karts out on track, and by karts, I should probably say kart. We have one of the Masters drivers here, the only driver out on the racetrack now on slick weather tires here, Simon. But before we get into, I guess, this warm-up session, your thoughts about yesterday as a whole? I mean, we saw a lot of racing action across all the classes.
Yeah, to me, yesterday had two sides to it. Obviously, we had our morning running. Everyone was dry and clean. And then we rolled into the afternoon and found ourselves in a very consistent wet rain where the track just stayed the same pretty much from the start of the pre-finals through the end of the Pro Motos. So it was a very two-sided day with a lot of dry running and at the same time a lot of wet running. And as we roll into this morning's warm-up sessions, as we watch our lone KA Masters driver take the track, you can see that the weather is not entirely moved out just yet. It rained all of last night. The track's still very damp and lots of fog in the air, so conditions still fairly treacherous out there on this 1 mile Newcastle Motorsports Park here at this facility. So with a lot of fog and a damp track, not a lot of drivers opting to start this KA Masters warm-up session.
Yeah, I mean, not too many drivers really wanting to go out there and warm up here this morning, but we saw a lot of racing in between the Masters class, really keeping us on our toes and mixing it up here a whole lot for us. Yesterday we saw one of their main events as well. Their pre-final yesterday was very, very action-packed, and in that one, some drivers opted to go on the rain weather tire, and others opted to go on the slick weather tire. The rain weather that time out being the wrong option. Like we noticed yesterday, just really burning up those tires, and a lot of Masters drivers just ended up burning up their set of rain tires, and the slick weather tire was the option. That's not the case here this morning for Ran Lee, who's out there slipping and sliding, trying to work his way and tiptoe his way around the racetrack. But we have 12 rows of drivers here today, where there's going to be some big movers through the field. The likes of John Bonanno starting further back in the field after deciding to go on the wet weather tires yesterday. He finished 8th overall in the pre-final, so John Bonanno has some work to do to work his way up the field, and for the reigning champion, going to have to do some work. Clay Settles as well, one of the drivers that we saw crown himself at the Clash at the Club last year. He's starting 24th here today, so some work to do for him. So we'll see what happens for Clay Settles. And both of the Kutcher brothers as well, starting further back in the field for Andy Kutcher and Chris Kutcher. They're going to have to work their way up the field. So, yeah, a lot of mix-up in this field, and we're expecting a lot of drivers to work their way further up the field. So we'll see what it looks like. But for Ran Lee, still slipping and sliding here around this very, very wet mile-long racetrack here in Newcastle, Indiana, with just under 2 minutes to go in this warm-up session. And this is for Ran Lee, just getting warmed up, getting himself mentally prepared for what may be a very, very wet first session. The Canadian Geese have returned here. They came over with the JMF Canadian factory team. And good to see some fellow countrymen of theirs here this morning, up bright and early. And for those of you guys who are up bright and early from wherever you may be, thank you very much for joining us here this early morning. And a couple of shout-outs here for some drivers and some other people. James Overbeck graduated from high school this weekend. So congratulations to James Overbeck. Logan Arteta has a birthday today, I believe. And a couple of more birthdays as well in and around the paddock. I believe A.J. Myers as well had a birthday this week. So happy birthday to A.J. Myers, who we will be seeing later on today.
And with Ran Lee still turning laps around this track, I guess the big question is, when will the track state improve? Obviously still damp out there. We're not going to see any sunshine till this afternoon. So how quick can this Newcastle Motorsports Park facility dry up? With only one kart on the track, I wouldn't expect that the lone kart will be making much of an impact. So much as just the lack of rain and maybe some evaporation may take care of this track state. But the question is, will it be in the warm-up sessions, or will we see some slick final running as you see him take a nice little loop there? But no worries, he's the only one out there. There's no issues of just doing a little spin in the warm-up session.
Yeah, and over here, there's a lot of merchandise booths over here. You can get our Kart Chasers official merchandise at the Pride booth here on site, or you can go to getpride.com and buy all of our merchandise and official merchandise that we wear and that other people have here in the paddock, as well as the Stars merchandise that is also around here. Or if you're in the paddock, check out some of the Lucas Oil Racing School cars, or the MX-5 Cup car that's actually on site here in partnership with the Lucas Oil School for Racing and the Mazda Motorsports sponsorship. And you already see how foggy it is and how misty it is in this early morning here in Newcastle, Indiana. So very, very low visibility. I've actually driven in conditions very, very similar to this here at Newcastle, Indiana last year at the Cup Cars North America Grand Nationals, and it's very tricky to get around here, right? Especially when it's very slick, as you already see some team drivers already looking from on top of their haulers, and a lot of movement early on this morning in the paddock, as it looks like we have more cadet drivers who look set to go out onto the racetrack here, Simon.
Yeah, certainly the cadet field getting ready to take their warm-up session. Just a note on the track state, looking at the lap times from warm-up, Ran Lee running a 2-minute and 14-second best lap time. We were seeing lap times well under that on the wet weather tire yesterday. He, in fact, is on that dry weather tire, so I do not think the track is ready yet for dry tires. It seems to be very, very slick out there, and he's just working his way around this facility. And as you can see here, Spiceland Newcastle is where we are located here at Newcastle Motorsports Park. It's King of the Castle. My name is Simon Sykes. I'm joined by Caleb Viesca here live from Kart Chaser.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're gonna need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes,
Yep,
gloves,
yep,
rib protectors.
got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
We're at a commercial break.
Welcome back here to the second round of the Stars Championship Series, and we take a look at our track layout that's provided a lot of passing opportunities here. 16 corners total here, with the I-70 hairpin being turn number 1. And then you go into the shark fin, where we've seen a lot of passes in places we really wouldn't have expected. And then you go into the scoreboard hairpin there in the middle of the racetrack, and that's also a lot of people have either found themselves in the grass and in the barriers, or getting passed through there, which is a very, very good track for racing. You can go into the green corner and all the way back the last couple of hairpins as well. So provided a lot of good racing action, Simon. And I mean, in the wet, we saw so many more passes than what we were used to seeing in the dry. So just really threw a wrench at everybody and mixed up the field that little bit more.
And certainly a lot of these younger drivers opting for that track experience in these tricky conditions, obviously trying to learn as much as they can, not just about these particular conditions, but wet driving in general. It's a great opportunity to learn, especially when you have just these free sessions where you're not directly in a race. You just get to go out and figure it out. If you push a bit too far, it really doesn't matter. So you can really lean on that cart and figure out what you're working with. And on screen now is that Lawrence Perriman and
Easton Kubinski.
In that number 38 machine, heading on to our short back straight before the last couple of 90-degree turns.
And there on your screen now at the BJR MDR behind Easton Kubinski is Lawrence Perriman, who is right there. So all these drivers shuffling their way through. And let's see how some of these will be starting. One of the Sodi Racing USA machines, I believe that could be Logan Arteta there, if I'm not mistaken, or is that Zane Burgess? I think it is Zane Burgess with the different helmet. I will definitely find out here shortly.
Definitely not Zane Burgess. I can confirm.
The helmets are different. But we know a lot of kids have different helmets. But we'll check out the number here. That's a 54, and let's see who that is exactly for this Micro Swift category here. So your final grid here today, Zane Burgess is in the 55, so that is Logan Arteta. My apologies there, and you were, I guess, right, Simon, there. So Zane Burgess starting on the outside. On the pole position, though, is going to be Jaden Francisco for the final. This driver on your screen here is going to start third on the inside. And then on his outside, Marcelo Flores, the young Mexican, starting fourth here. Jake Manalio is going to start fifth, and Dutch Westbrook going to start on his outside in sixth. So you're already starting to see what it's like. But speaking of some of these drivers yesterday after post-race penalties and after a little bit of post-race tech, it kind of shuffled around a little bit, and some drivers didn't want to start on the outside. The driver there on your screen, Bertie Stoffel, was, I believe, slated to start in 8th, but is starting 9th here for the 29 Sodi Racing USA machine. So Stoffel going to start on the inside, and that's exactly where he wanted to be coming into the finals. Zane Burgess as well. I mean, he's on the other hand, right? He's starting on the outside, and that's probably not where the Sodi Racing USA team would have wanted to be here this weekend, but starting on the outside, because we know how difficult it is to start on that outside line. We've seen a lot of drivers just get really caught out at the start, and that inside line just having a massive run going into the I-70 hairpin, and that's probably the biggest run that we've seen in a turn number 1 across the national circuit here so far, Simon. I mean, the only Zane Burgess there drops a tire, but the only, I guess, big rundown that we've seen in a turn number 1 was probably Supernats in the shifter class, which was pretty long straightaway. But here at Newcastle Motorsports Park, running this layout, I mean, it's a pretty long rundown all the way to the I-70 hairpin, where you pick up a lot of speed right before you get there.
One thing I will say, it's nice that we have that start line is so far up the straight, so we don't build too much speed on the starts, whereas we can still have the balance in the race and find a nice passing zone with all that draft, especially in these Micro Swift classes that feed off of it so much, as we watch Zane Burgess work his way past Brody Stoffel. Your pole sitter starting to get things figured out here in these slick conditions.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I mean, we haven't had any failed starts. So we haven't had to redo any starts. We haven't had any red flags, and that's, crossing our fingers that we don't get any today, which is really good to see so far on a very action-packed Saturday afternoon. So that's great. Great kudos to the entire Stars Championship Series team for keeping everybody safe out here this weekend, doing a great job of it so far. And we got one more day, and I know we're going to do the exact same here today. But everybody's staying safe and everybody having a good time out here. I mean, whenever you walk into the paddock, you see everybody in good spirits. Everybody, the energy in the paddock just different this weekend. I mean, we got here on the Friday morning whenever everybody was out here and already driving and already going out onto the racetrack, and it was fence line to fence line, absolutely packed. Over 287 entries here this weekend. So that's something that's pretty cool to see.
definitely great to see the turnout here for the Stars Championship Series. A packed paddock, and nonetheless, looks like Zane Burgess still working on figuring it out. A little bit wide in that last corner, and you can see he's on that wet weather tire, opting to run a dry weather line through these corners. So kind of a mixed condition track, definitely still wet, but grip seeming to be there for these drivers on the wet weather tire. As we saw in the KA Masters, not a whole lot out there for the dry tire as it currently stands.
Yeah, and we'll see what it looks like later on in the day. There's the 92 there on your screen. That's Jack Katowski with brother Nico Katowski, who gets set to go green later on today. And the Swift Stars main event as well. So the two brothers doing a good job here this weekend. Both of them have been super quick and mixing it up there in the top half of their fields, respectively. So good to see them. And only 17 drivers total out here in the morning warm-up so far. So some drivers starting to stay dry here this morning, and others, not wanting to risk any sort of issues here early on this morning. But that U-Race machine still lapping around pretty quickly. Jack Katowski finds himself in 12th here at the moment and continue to lap around.
And a driver we've seen that's been quick all weekend, not starting on the front row, but Jaden Francisco, currently top of the boards in warm-up as well. He's had a strong run all weekend. And looking like it's going well in this practice session. Watch Zane Burgess still going side by side with Brody Stoffel.
Yeah, and these two teammates just battling it out here. Francisco starting on the pole position later on today, so we'll see what it looks like for Francisco there in the 32 Ryan Perry Motorsports machine.
And my apologies on that. I was under the false impression that Zane Burgess was indeed on pole, but no, it is Francisco, and I do remember him having a great run throughout all of yesterday, both the heats and the pre-final. So well done to Francisco, continuing on with the momentum here in warm-up.
Yeah, and it's all right to be that confused, because a guy like Zane Burgess has been up there almost all year long, and it's it gets confusing whenever all the weekends just start blurring together here. So for Francisco, has had a good drive up the field so far. Hasn't been easy to take the couple of wins that he has. Marcelo Flores took one of them. Zane Burgess was able to take another, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And but for Jaden Francisco, has had a good weekend here so far, really holding his own around here. So we'll see what it looks like later on today for your Micro Swifts. When we come back from this quick commercial break, your Pro Shifters, your Pro Master Shifters get set to go out onto the racetrack. You're watching Kart Chasers live coverage of the King of the Castle. Don't go anywhere.
Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at SimCraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in SimCraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace, because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Are you ready to go fast? From road race to sprint race, 4-stroke, 2-stroke, club, regional, and national, DYL Kartsport brings a family fun atmosphere. We're here to help you. We've already got plenty of hardware here to start 2024, And with team manager Rhett Thomas bringing years as a champion driver and tuner, we're ready to take you to the front. Inquire now to find out more about our Comp Kart Race Shop and team at dylkartsport.com or driveyourline.com.
Well, welcome back here as we look at the schedule that we have ahead of us here today. The warm-up sessions here now live and free. Later on today, the KA Pre-Final B is going to be live at 10 a.m. to see who races into the main event later on today. And then we have the main event starting at 11 a.m. for the semi-pro classes, and then we go straight into the pro show at 2 p.m. Eastern with the pre-race ceremonies and post-race ceremonies coming your way live here on Kart Chaser. OKN Stars starting at 2 p.m. Eastern, and then Pro Stars starting at 2:45 p.m. Eastern, where we will get to talk to some of our drivers that unfortunately we weren't able to talk to all too much yesterday due to the rain and due to you know, just the rain, right? So hopefully we'll be able to talk to some of those drivers today, the likes of Myers, Musgrave, and a lot others who are working their way up the field. But as we get set to go green here for this Master Shifter main event later on today, let's run you down your grid. There on your screen is Matt Machiko. I believe Scott Presti out on the racetrack as well in his Ralph Schumacher kart. So he's here and racing. So let's run you down this final grid order today. It is Evan Back who's starting on the pole position after finishing ahead of Matt Machiko, the driver on your screen. He's going to start on the outside. So for Machiko, gonna have some work to do here today, as all the Ralph Schumacher karts there on your screen. The 608 there of I believe that is Scott Presti there, and a couple of other drivers after post-race tech. Some drivers lost their finishing position. Unfortunately, Jeff Mills, one of those drivers who lost, he finished 5th overall, and unfortunately for him, rear width. He was too far, I guess, inside the rear width, and you know, got a disqualification. So unfortunate for Jeff Mills, and that was really one of the big storylines coming out of yesterday here, Simon, with how quick a lot of people were changing setup and changing, you know, changing their karts on grid whenever it came down to the rain weather, to the dry weather. A lot of people were, you know, under I guess over the limit that you're allowed to have here. So unfortunate for those drivers who unfortunately suffered from that, but just going to make it a little bit more fun for them having to work to the field.
Yeah, certainly. We saw a bunch of mix-ups yesterday. And one thing I want to note here in the Masters category, Master Shifter on track, we've seen, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 opting to use this warm-up session. And from what I've seen, all of which opting to cover those air boxes, preventing water from getting into the engine, and even one, the 691 of Michael Gouache, wearing a rain suit, trying to keep himself as dry as he can. But it tends to be the younger classes that see more participation in the warm-up sessions. As older guys, you know, maybe there's less reward for their efforts to go out there and get dirty, get messy, and possibly have an incident. Whereas the young kids, you know, it's an opportunity to learn to improve their wet weather driving skills. But still, several of these masters opting to go out there and figure out these tricky conditions. And no one so far able to top Luis Quinones on his lap. He is 2/10 clear of Machiko in this early running.
Yeah, so the 601 Luis Quinones out there on the racetrack as well. The 621 of the other Luis Quinones, I believe, was a driver who just went quickest here. So everybody just lapping around here at the moment and wanting to keep it on the racetrack. That's a lot of drivers decide to pack up and pretty much just not run out there in the rain. Whenever you're out there practicing, right? It's our training. You're like, too wet to go out. I'm just gonna go home and stay dry. But the big difference is made, whenever you stay out there and you drive and you learn how to really drive in the rain, and that's where you see the difference on who puts in that little bit of extra work whenever you're at your home track, whenever you're at your club racing or whatever it could be. So that's just some of the big difference there. I mean, Simon, some say you're a wet weather master as well. So how did you get as good as you are?
Well, it's certainly a bunch of track time. I'm not sure if I'm a master. I can find my way around in the wet weather, but it certainly can get treacherous running in these conditions, and oftentimes, more than not lately, we've been sitting. If it's been a test session, there's been a lot of water on the track. We opt to just wait it out, see better conditions come our way. Obviously, a lot to risk out there in the rain, as we already see one around in this Master Shifter category, one of those Ralph Schumacher karts, finding a loop outside of turn number 1.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's one of those Ralph Schumacher machines that went around there at the start, but still able to get back going here in this one. That's the other Luis Quinones, a 601. He's starting further back in the field in 11th. So definitely going to be one of the drivers to watch. We've seen him have a couple of national wins to his name, one at the SCUSA Pro Tour last year in Utah, and looking to get another national win here to his name this weekend. So we'll see what it looks like for Luis Quinones here this weekend. But everybody's still going around and putting in some pretty good lap times here this morning. So and the big thing about these shifters as well, I mean, the more and more that they go around, these are really the karts that have the biggest effect when it comes down to drying up the racetrack. They really move all the water out, and you already start to see a little bit of a dry line start to form the more and more that they go around and kind of just dry up this racetrack here.
And what's shocking to me is how similar the conditions are to what we saw yesterday. From the first time the rain came, then we had a break, it got dry again, and then the rain came back down for all these Masters in shifter categories. We're seeing very, very similar lap times. I was seeing 126s from these guys yesterday in the wet weather, and this morning 127.5 from Matt Machiko. So it's not a whole lot of variance. They should be getting pretty comfortable with this track state, given they've done multiple sessions in it now. So the driver's starting to find their way, and it's a close battle at the top of this warm-up session between Quinones and Machiko. Everyone else 2 seconds or farther back on the field. But as the checkered flag waves here on our Master Shifters, we'll continue to roll through our morning warm-up classes.
Yeah, we'll continue to roll through these morning warm-up classes, and one of the biggest surprises for me yesterday was how quick the track dried up during that pro shifter race, and you saw that dry line start to form. Spoke to AJ Myers last night, and he's like, yeah, the track got really dry towards the end of the session, and we were just kind of managing whatever we could do, really just not trying to burn up those tires too much. And you are allowed to throw on as many sets of rain weather tires as you want. So for some of those drivers, that was the option, and they went quick in both of those. But for other drivers, in the semi-pro categories, whatever it could be, if you already wasted a set of tires, then you have to buy another set and spend that little bit extra. But it's all if you want to go fast. And we are expecting dry main events here later today. I'm not sure if we'll get there, but we still have a lot of classes left to go out onto the racetrack this Sunday.
Yep, certainly the checkered flag out and waving on your Master Shifters. So we get set to continue to roll. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, more coverage live on Kart Chaser.
Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at SimCraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in SimCraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental U.S.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Are you ready to go fast? From road race to sprint race, 4-stroke, 2-stroke, club, regional, and national, DYL Kart Sport brings a family fun atmosphere. We're here to help you. We've already got plenty of hardware here to start 2024, and with team manager Rhett Thomas bringing years as a champion driver and tuner, we're ready to take you to the front. Inquire now to find out more about our Comp Kart race shop and team at dylkartsport.com or driveyourline.com.
Welcome back to Kart Chasers Live coverage of the King of the Castle. We're here for the second round of the Stars Championship Series, and the pre-final B drivers are out onto the racetrack now, and a couple of these drivers are going to try and work their way into the main event later today. So we'll see what it looks like for them. I believe that's Jackson Baldus there, if I'm not mistaken. Marco Romero in this group as well as a couple of other big notables and a couple of other big names that have to work their way into the main event later today. And it's pretty cool to see that these drivers are racing here on this Sunday afternoon, and well, Sunday morning, I should say, not afternoon yet, but racing on a Sunday morning and lapping around here. And as they continue to cycle through, Romero there in the 807, and it's Fernando Alonso, DPK, America's driven Bennett machine. So still lapping around here at the moment, and a couple of others here, Simon.
Yeah, we see a big group here on track as they work through the Monza Bowl side by side. Romero there on the outside. We see a lot of drivers here out on track in this group, all of which needing to make that transfer into the main later today. And what I have to say here is it's very easy to snowball into a bad weekend. A lot of these guys may have pace, but may have just not had the luck through the heats and the pre-finals. You see one driver looping around, coming out of the green corner, and that was Jeremiah Thomas in the 857. And still a large gaggle of karts out there. Everybody on wet weather tires, just dancing around and figuring out the conditions.
Yeah, everybody just tiptoeing around here as they continue to cycle through. And let's look at the grid here for this for the main event later on today in this K8 Junior main event. We'll run you down it here for a second. The final results, Enzo Vidmontien started on the pole. The official grid hasn't been released because there's still some drivers trying to race their way in. But Enzo Vidmontien was able to race his way into the main event, starting on the pole position. Ty Fisher going to start on the outside, with John Antonino starting third. Malquit starting further back in the field as well. So a couple of drivers here with some work to do. The pre-final B grid here is at the moment, it's going to be Ben Cranston starting on the inside with Jacob Scheibel starting on the outside. Then you go back to Jackson Baldus, Ezekiel Height, third and fourth respectively. Mark Romero going to start on row number 3. And I'm still not completely sure how many drivers will transfer into the main event later today, and I'll definitely find out here in just a couple of moments' time. So, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm getting reports that I think it could be 10 drivers transferring in to the main event later on today, and we'll definitely confirm that. And I think that was confirmed, so we'll see what it looks like later on today.
Yeah, and on your screen, a lot of side-by-side action between these two. Mark Romero in that 807 machine, seeming to show decent pace here early, but getting past there by the 833 of Chris Rialzi as they continue to work through this early warm-up session. It is Bex Cranston currently top of the boards by a tenth of a second over Julian Pollard as they cross the line this time by. And Pollard goes quicker, but Casey Mosley in the 827 machine, a 132.088 will put him 4/10 clear of the field at the current time. So time's still well down from what we expect to see in dry weather conditions. Track definitely not there, seeing a lot of rain line with some mix of a dry line, but everybody on those wet weather tires here. Early in this KA Junior warm-up B. Still, everybody looking to make that transfer here later today before we get set for the main events. And as you can see, the timing pop up on your screen here is the current rundown of your drivers in this group and where they stand. It may be well mixed up because it's certainly not what you would expect to see in the dry in terms of the raw pace. Well off, about 20 seconds off of what we would expect to see later today. And the drivers having a fun time out there. I guess pre-final B, it's a question of how much is the track going to dry up before they have their last chance to make the main. It could be a slick condition for this last chance qualifier. We're just going to have to wait and see, but everybody opting to take this opportunity and figure out the conditions.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what it looks like. This is going to be the first pre-final, getting set to go green with the KA100 Junior pre-final B. That's all set to come your way here in a couple of minutes' time, an hour, I believe, until we go green with the pre-final B grid. That's all coming your way here in a second. With 30 seconds left in this morning warm-up session, and as the juniors continue to roll around.
And as the checkered flag waves here for KA Junior warm-up Group B, all the drivers cycling around for the final time. And it was Christopher Rialti, quickest on track with a minute 30.9 out of this Group B. Up your way next will be Group A, and the faster of the two groups from yesterday, looking to get set for their main event later today. When we come back, we're going to take a short commercial break. Your word from our partners. Stay tuned, live on Kart Chaser.
Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at SimCraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in SimCraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal.
Brandon, Why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental U.S.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Are you ready to go fast? From road race to sprint race, 4-stroke, 2-stroke, club, regional, and national, DYL Kart Sport brings a family fun atmosphere. We're here to help you. We've already got plenty of hardware here to start 2024, and with team manager Rhett Thomas bringing years as a champion driver and tuner, we're ready to take you to the front. Inquire now to find out more about our Comp Kart race shop and team at dylkartsport.com or driveyourline.com.
And on track now, KA Junior warm-up, Group A. Getting out and figuring out the tricky conditions. Still a slick track up top currently. It is Chase Gassiet Lee, the minute and 21.4 here, Caleb.
Yeah, you saw him cut half the track there after going off. But, hey, if you want to count it, you can count it. But a 121.495, technically lapped quicker than the shifters. Obviously, not going to count. It's only morning warm-up sessions, though, so.
I say we give it to him.
Yeah,
He did a good job. It's a good lap.
Hey, this kid just made history here, Chase Gassiet Lee. No, in all seriousness, though, unfortunate end to Chase Gassiet Lee's day yesterday in the OKNJ. Also, inside of the minimum rear width for him yesterday. So, unfortunate for Chase Gassiet Lee. Got DQ'd in the OKNJ class, starting at the rear end of the field. So, some work to do for Chase Gassiet Lee here, and I'm looking at the margins here on my screen. 121.495, and then you see the normal lap times by Cash Perkins, Dupuis, Weiland, and everybody else. 128.844. So it says Gassiet Lee went 7 seconds quicker than everybody else. And that's provisionally, timing definitely going to take a look at that one after.
Hey, Caleb, I think he's just a good driver. I think that's 7 seconds on the field. Easy work for Chase Gassiet Lee. But out here right now, only 10 drivers opting to to take to the track for this warm-up session of the Group A. Obviously already secured into the final. No one really needing to figure out these conditions as much as the guys from Group B, as the Group B may have to deal with these conditions, but we are expecting the track to well dry out before KA Junior's main event gets underway later today. Still very, very foggy morning here in Newcastle, Indiana. For King of the Castle, round 2 of the Stars Championship Series here at Castle Motorsports Park. And again, KA Junior wrapping up their warm-up session. Still a minute 40 left on the clock, and I don't think anyone's got a chance of taking down Chase Gassiet-Lee, but they'll give it their best effort. Cash Perkins currently sitting with the best provisional time at a 1:28.8.
Yeah, so they continue to go around here with a minute, just under a minute and a half left in this morning warm-up session. That's Max Weiland there on your screen. Mad Max Weiland behind him, Gabriel Balog, the 2 Magic Karts here this weekend. So we'll see what they can do here today. Emerson Lane as well went out there on the racetrack. Didn't complete a lap, I believe, just did the out lap and then brought it into the pits. But that's going to be it there for Emerson Lane and a couple of other drivers still out there on the racetrack.
And the lap time officially being deleted from the top of the boards, I'm sad to see, but Gassiet-Lee still there, P5 on pace, only 3/10 out from Cash Perkins. A tight top 5, everybody running very, very similar lap times in the minute and 28-second bracket here for KA Junior. Just everyone learning out there, having a good time. I bet it must be very entertaining to have these conditions, no pressure. Just go out there and have some fun. Max Weiland there on your screen, currently sitting P2, 1600ths off Cash Perkins with 24 seconds remaining, so he will get the checkered flag next time by as the drivers continue to work around this mile-long facility. Down to Emerson Lane, who has not turned a lap, but 10 drivers taking to the track. Checkered flag waving here on track for KA Junior warm-up Group A. Max Weiland rounding the final corner. He'll take the flag this time by. Still everybody on those wet weather tires. An interesting point to note as the track continues to dry, we're going to find ourselves at some point with a crossover point of the track where it no longer becomes efficient to run those wet weather tires. Instead, it is quicker to run the dry weather tires. We're not exactly sure what that lap time is going to be. We'll figure it'll be a little bit quicker than they are running now, as the track's still definitely in wet weather conditions, maybe lower into that 1 minute and 20-second range. But everybody wrapping up their final laps. It was Max Weiland on that final lap going to the top of the boards here in warm-up for KA Junior Group A. Still more warm-up action to come when we return. We are live here from Castle Motorsports Park. It's King of the Castle, round 2 of the Stars Championship Series. A word from our partners when we return. You're watching live on Kart Chaser.
Colin, I need a new 219 chain. I need a 77 tooth sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the Kart on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place, and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop AKR.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Parallel USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parallel Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParalleLUSA.com.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Car Class has done the hard work for you. We've traveled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Car Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack. Pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit carclass.com to get your track information.
So you will finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes,
Yep.
gloves,
Yep.
rear protectors.
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here
So welcome back to this afternoon as we give a quick shout out to some of our cameramen here this weekend. Riley Can on the camera here, giving you guys all the action here. So howdy to Riley out there right next to the I-70 highway out here this weekend as well. We have Jake Faulkner and his debut for the Kart Chaser guys, and Rocco Ruzic giving you guys all the live action from the main straightaway. So hi to Rocco here this weekend. Everybody in good spirits, as well as all our camera guys who got a little soaked yesterday, but everybody having a good time and in good spirits. And a big shout out to Jake Faulkner, his debut for the KC crew. Howdy, Jake. Hopefully everybody's staying dry here this weekend. And up here, obviously myself, Caleb Yeska, Simon Sykes alongside me, Emery Lida on the switches here, Brandon Simone directing us, Trevor Blue as always, working behind the scenes, Kendall Hedge making her return as well this weekend with Kyle Cuthbertson, and Zander Clements here this weekend as well. So from all of us here at the Kart Chaser crew, thank you guys and everybody that supports us and watches us here, especially live and early this morning. So everybody in good spirits. I mean, we're up here. It's always a good day when you're at the racetrack. I mean, we could be anywhere else working any other job, but we're out here at a racetrack, and it's always a good day, Simon.
No better place to be, honestly, and what a place to be at the new Castle Motorsports Park facility, one of the iconic North American karting facilities, a long-standing staple of North American karting, here featuring the Stars Championship Series this weekend. On track now, your Mini Swift category out for their warm-up session. They'll all transfer into the main event later today, so everybody just getting some practice in these wet weather conditions before they run dry this afternoon for their main event.
Yeah, so we'll see what it looks like later on today. But already, I mean, the track's starting to dry here a little bit, and Simon made a good point about the crossover point later on today, so we'll see. It looks like we're kind of getting a little closer to that by the sessions, but just still wet weather conditions here at the moment. I mean, still super slick in some of these hairpins, so all these drivers still tiptoeing their way around the racetrack. And yeah, still a long way to go to really get a full dry racetrack. It seems like some parts of the racetrack you can see a little bit of a clear line, but other parts are still very, very slick.
It's going to be very, very difficult to get this track to a completely dry state in an efficient manner simply because of the weather we're experiencing. While it is not currently raining, we do have a wet track from last night's weather, and with our fog and humidity at 100% here, it's not giving the water much room to evaporate. There's no sunlight directly on the track, so it's going to take a while, maybe a couple hours for this track to get to a completely dry state, and these drivers still trying to figure out the tricking conditions as we see a couple of our mini Swifts go around here early in this warm-up.
Bashi Jimenez goes for a spin there. So these are your Swift stars here on the racetrack. Schneegenberg there with the GWR Gillard, and then Valentino Santillan. Parker Ives, who's starting further back in the field after issues for him in the pre-final. So we'll see what Parker Ives can do here later on today. But a lot of action here. Tucker Trieb as well, DNF'd, unfortunately, in the main event. And you see all these mechanics already pointing to their kids, telling everybody to push, everybody to keep it on the racetrack, and to continue to lap here. There's Royce Vega. He had a really, really good drive yesterday. Fell back in the field, worked his way back up the field, and I believe starting second here. So for Royce Vega, a good drive so far this weekend for the kid from Dallas-Fort Worth. So we'll see what it looks like, and I believe we do have this. We don't have, the starting grid here at the moment. We're planning on displaying it for you guys, but we'll run it down. Royce Vega is starting there on the outside here later on today. And on the inside, that's going to be Nico Katowski. So one of the drivers who's not out there on the racetrack now, brother to the other Katowski here this weekend. Royce Vega actually starting on the second row in fourth. My apologies for that. Valentino Santillan on the inside, starting third. Enzo Di Gennaro, the driver starting on the outside in second. And then Cameron Johnson and Bowen Green starting side by side. Let's run you down that grid order later on today in this Swift Stars final. Marco Salmon and Isaac Payne going to start on the fourth row with Bashi Jimenez, who we saw go for a spin earlier on today, starting alongside Nicholas Mose. Then you go back to Lugilio, Grayson Walcott as well, Colton Schneegenberg, who had issues in the pre-final as well, Holden Myers, and then Parker Ives starting all the way down in the eighth row, looking to drive his way up the field. Ben Gleberman as well starting eighth. Then you go back to Riley Dobelier, Robert Lash, Cade Wolf, Lane Thigpen, and then I believe we do have 5 more rows here at the moment for the Swift Stars main event. 17 rows total, as it cycles through. And this is all going to be later on today with the likes of Asher Ferris, AJ Stoner, Josh Bergman was involved in a big accident yesterday. Lucas Palacio at the bottom of your screen, not racing here in this one. He does have a free entry for the entire year after winning the championship last year, so he's automatically entered into all the Swift Stars, but not here, and is here this weekend, but not racing the Swift Stars. He's racing the OKNJ class later on today. But a lot of drivers having to work their way up the field here, and that kid on your screen who has been, I guess, one of the most winningest drivers here in this Mini Swift class this year, has to work his way through the field here today, Simon.
Yeah, we mentioned Lucas there on your screen opting to move up to that OKNJ category, the 10-year-old experiencing a lot of success throughout his mini career, taking on that next journey, moving up into juniors, and a driver who drove much like him so far this year, Parker Ives, who's been so dominant. Finding a bit of struggle this week, and we'll look for him to make up some spots heading into the final later today. But as it stands, checkered flag is out on this warm-up session, and it was Di Gennaro going top of the boards by 0.7 of a second. So we watch Dobelier go for a little loop in one of the last 90-degree corners before he gets to the checkered flag. Santillan will close the gap down to 0.3 of a second, but they both have another 0.7 of a margin back to Vega. So quick times for Di Gennaro and Santillan as the Swift Stars wrap up their warm-up session.
Yeah, so Valentino Santillan there in the second spot. Checker flag is waving here in this one. In a couple of minutes' time, if I'm not mistaken, the KA Stars B group is going to go out first, and then the KA Stars final only. I guess your automatic transfers will go out at 9:10, and then OKNJ. And then the Pro Show, these drivers will warm up at 9:30 and 9:40, and then they'll have to wait all the way till the afternoon to go out there on the racetrack. But they are going to warm up here this morning, and that will be the last of our free coverage. When we get into, I guess, LCQ or pre-final B racing, we're going to switch over to our KC Premium stream. So for $9.99 a month, make sure to become a KC Premium member, and you can watch all the racing action live. When we come back, we're going to go straight into the morning warm-up sessions with all of your KA stars. You're watching Kart Chasers live coverage of the Stars Championship Series. Don't go anywhere.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online, and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes?
Yep.
Gloves?
Yep.
Rib protectors?
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
We're at a commercial break.
Back live on Kart Chaser. KA Stars Group B taking to the track for their morning warm-up session. You see them coming out of pit lane. Spray still coming up from those wet weather tires. The track still slick here at the new Castle Motorsports Park facility. Weather experienced overnight and yesterday evening. Continuing on into this morning. No active rain, just a lot of fog and a wet, damp track as these KA Stars try and figure it out. We're seeing a lot of participation from this group. Obviously, these are the drivers that are going to have to make that transfer here after we finish warm-ups and they run their pre-final and see if they make the grid for the main later today. So everybody opting to get some time on this track, figure out these conditions because it may be similar when they go out to race for their spot in the main.
Yeah, the likes of Marco Mastronzi in this pre-final B group and looking to race their way into the main event along a couple of other drivers. There's Marco Mastronzi working his way around the racetrack, but he's in the pre-final B, so some work to do for Marco Mastronzi to work his way into the main event. And we do have the pre-final B grid, so we'll take a look at that now. We'll take a look at that grid here. Marco Mastronzi is starting on the front row and on the inside, so really going to need to get away here. Sawyer Roussel starting alongside him, the kid from NOLA. Frederick Manning starting on the second row alongside Ben Gaunt, and then Alex Murray, Sam Cate, Ryan Miller, Ryan Bierman, Josh Campbell as well, the driver that qualified on the pole position here this weekend. So unfortunate for Josh Campbell, but he is starting on the fifth row after a DQ in the first heat race that he had, and then unfortunate for Josh Campbell in the second one as well. Didn't have enough points or finishing a high enough finishing position to transfer in to the main event. So he's starting on the fifth row, and on the outside, Christian Valverde, Aiden Shimbashi on row 6, and then you go all the way down with a lot more other drivers getting set to go green here as well. So yeah, with some of the big storylines, Marco Mastronzi, Josh Campbell, going to have to race their way in to the main event here.
And on row 10, TJ Coyen, legendary helmet painter Octane Visual making his return to the karting scene, finding himself down in pre-final B, trying to work his way up into the main event later today. And big participation across this warm-up session. We're seeing 22 drivers on track, getting lap times in and set, getting those karts dialed in for what may be very similar conditions here in just about an hour for their Stars pre-final B. Also in this pre-final B group, the 958 of Vaughn Beasley, who qualified 4th overall, experiencing a rough day yesterday, going to have to work his way up into the main event as well. Obviously a lot of pace in the dry, given that qualifying session, so he'll have his work cut out for him to make that main and see how far up he can drive his machine, see if he can't make that final later today. The 995 of Ben Gaunt on your screen, currently sitting in that P4 of this warm-up session, times down in the 1 minute and 29 second bracket. Still very, very slick conditions. Definite wet tire. No one opting for those slick weather tires just yet. The track not drying very rapidly. Dry line not even forming as of yet. 3 minutes left in the session. The more karts that are on track, the more we're going to find this track dries quicker and quicker. But with each passing session, if there are drivers that opt out, that's less rubber and less movement of the water that's already on the track. You see a bit of spray being thrown up by Ben Gaunt. When you move that water across the track, you can start to open up a dry line, but you need karts on track to do that, as we see Ben Gaunt pull off to the side, and even more spray down the inside where the karts aren't typically running. So the more karts on track, the drier this facility will get. This will certainly help with 22 karts on track, but if there are other categories like we saw earlier with low participation, we're going to see a very similar track state for a long time. I saw one kart off the track having issues in scoreboard corner, but as Ben Gaunt works around for the final time, not the final time, for his 2 minutes to go, that was the 907 machine of Callahan Peter going around in scoreboard corner. As we fade back up into turn number 1, where Alex Hamill leads the 972 of Aiden Shimbashi. P1 and 3 currently in this session, just under 2 minutes to go. Mastronzi up there in P2 of the session as well. The top 3 covered by 0.2 of a second. It's another second back to Ben Gaunt in P4, so the top 3 firing off well here in these tricky conditions. So as the drivers wrap up near the end of the session, we'll see the checkered flag coming out momentarily. It's pretty close down into the waning seconds of the session. The clock at the top obviously reset. I'm seeing out on the track maybe having a bit of a timing and scoring issue. We'll check on that for you. But late in the run, Mastronzi putting it up top by a second over his competition. Valverde improving up to P2, Harry up to P3. Times decreasing rapidly as the session progresses. The drivers get more and more comfortable with these tricky conditions, and now the checkered flag begins to wave on KA Stars warm-up group number B. Again, everybody trying to race their way into the main event later today. As the drivers complete the final few corners of their final lap, we'll watch them as they come around These drivers all getting ready to race their way in what could be very similar conditions to what they are experiencing now. The track not drying very quickly, and they are getting their final prep in, and it could be a wet weather race here to make the main before we go dry weather racing this afternoon. So with the drivers wrapping up here, it'll be Group B coming off the track, Group A coming on next. We'll take a short break. When we come back, more warm-up action coming your way. First, a word from our partners.
We're at a commercial break.
Ready to go fast? From road race to sprint race, 4-stroke, 2-stroke, club, regional, and national, DYL Kart Sport brings a family fun atmosphere. We're here to help you. We've already got plenty of hardware here to start 2024, and with team manager Rhett Thomas bringing years as a champion driver and tuner, we're ready to take you to the front. Inquire now to find out more about our Comp Kart race shop and team at dylkartsport.com or driveyourline.com.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online, and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes?
Yep.
Gloves?
Yep.
Rip protectors?
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next, well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
We're at a commercial break.
Welcome back to the on-track action as we have a lot of drivers and a lot of team members watching on. Paulie Massimino, one of those who will be racing later on today. But on track now, your KA Stars, your transfers here into the main event. Theo Kakati there on your screen in the 930. In front of him, Oliver Hodgson in the 9:54. So he's going to start on the pole position, actually, here today in the KA Stars main event. So Oliver Hodgson, one of the drivers to watch here today as he makes his return to the Stars Championship Series. And we'll see what he can do later on today. But again, Oliver Hodgson showed a lot of pace yesterday. That the main event grid still not released yet, but the pre-final A results, Oliver Hodgson did take the win. Alan Isambard finished second. Theo Kakati finished third. So 2 comp carts on the inside rows. And then Austin Owens starting on the outside alongside Theo Kakati. Brendan Lemke, the Wisconsin Wonder Kid, moved up to P5, but having to do some work here. And a couple of other drivers as well with some issues with the rear width infractions as well. So the likes of CJ Bowman, Carson Sauter, James Overbeck as well. He had a pushback bumper. So unfortunate for James Overbeck starting further back in the field. Eli Warren was the quickest driver on the racetrack. Carter Thompson had a +5, also +5 penalty, +5 second penalty, for avoidable contact, and a lot of other penalties as well in that one. So some penalties here in this one, but 27 automatic transfers into this one. I believe some more than that. Mick Gabriel as well, one of the drivers who was slated to start on the front row for the pre-final, opted not to run in the rain. So we saw Mick not even go out onto the racetrack in the rain. So he classified as a DNS, as well as Evan Stamer and Adam Maxwell got disqualified, who I believe finished further up in the field, and that could have been for rear width or just something else. But there's Alan Isambard. He's starting on the front row, and with some work to do if he wants to get ahead of Oliver Hodgson. So we'll see what it looks like for Mr. April himself, and if he can beat one of the most seasoned veterans in this KA100 senior class, and what it'll look like later on for Brandon Lemke as well. But we go back on track, and the action continuing to unfold here for these KA Stars. As issues there for the 965 with some issues there. So unfortunate there in that one. But everybody's still cycling through, and we took a second to enjoy the KA100 engine sounds.
continue to work around the track in KA Stars warm-up Group A. Checkered flag here waving shortly in just about 10 seconds. Drivers making their final way around this 1 mile facility here at Castle Motorsports Park. It's round 2 of the Stars Championship Series, King of the Castle, and it's main event Sunday. Time to find out who's going to take the overall win on the weekend. And a lot of drivers opting to take this opportunity and figure out these tricky conditions. We're in Group A, and many of these drivers, while they'll probably be running in dry conditions later today, opting to get out in these wet weather conditions and see what the track has to offer. 22 drivers opting to go out in KA Stars warm-up Group A. They'll all work their way into the pits now as the drivers complete their final warm-up session before they go racing. Marco Mastronzi finishes out on top, a second gap over P2. My apologies, I thought we'd already moved on to Group A. We're still in Group B.
No, we already moved on. Just timing hasn't updated at the moment. So Marco Mastronzi is in Group B. For all these drivers like Nikolai Dukov and others, they are in that A group. So just timing hasn't quite updated here. So.
Well, apologies for the slight timing issue. Get an update on how these drivers ended up. A lot of drivers, I did see a lot of drivers out there on the track figuring out the conditions, some wetsuits here and there. Everybody on those wet weather tires still waiting for the track to get into a crossover point to get to those dry tires. But for now, we'll turn our attention to the OKNJ group as they look to take to the track for their final warm-up group before they go racing later on today. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hey Simon, quick question here before we go on this quick commercial break. Where should one go if they don't have any KC?
Oh, they should go to the Pride Tent right there on your screen.
Yeah.
Full of KC merch. Go stop by, get you some KC swag.
Yeah, so there you see the big flags there in the paddock, the Pride merchandise, the official event merchandise provider, and the official Car Chaser merchandise provider at getpride.com. You can get all the merchandise that you need and get jackets and hoodies, whatever else that you may want. When we come back from this quick commercial break, OKNJ gets set to go out onto the racetrack.
Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at SimCraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in SimCraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Are you ready to go fast? From road race to sprint race, 4-stroke, 2-stroke, club, regional, and national, DYL Kart Sport brings a family fun atmosphere. We're here to help you. We've already got plenty of hardware here to start 2024. And with team manager Rhett Thomas bringing years as a champion driver and tuner, we're ready to take you to the front. Inquire now to find out more about our Comp Kart race shop and team at dylkartsport.com or driveyourline.com.
Back on track here at Castle Motorsports Park. It is time for the OKNJs to take their final warm-up session, and it will be the final warm-up session before we start our racing action. Only a couple of karts taking to the track. Here I see 3 out there opting to get their running in. The first of which crossing the line, Lucas Palacio, who's had a strong weekend moving up into the OKNJ category. Qualifying on pole as a 10-year-old, first time in the junior category. Struggling a little bit in the heat races and into the pre-final, but he'll be looking for a strong race in the main event later today. One of the 3 drivers taking to the track in these wet conditions. Just behind him, another Kart. We'll see if we can get eyes on it, see who that is. The 151 machine. Get your name and number real quick, but seem to be keeping on pace with Lucas. As they both work around the track, we'll be waiting for times to come in, and we'll check and see what the pace is and maybe if we're getting any closer to getting to dry running.
Yeah, so we'll see the final grid here for the OKNJs. It was Chase Cassidy who took the win at the end of the day yesterday, but after a post-race DQ, he will have to start from the tail end of the field in 10th here. So unfortunate for Chase Cassidy. He's going to start at the tail end of the field. Forrest Adams starting on the front row alongside Gage Korn. Then you go back to row 2 with Max Weiland and Lucas Palacio, and on row 3, Tyrone Kemper Jr. and Isaac Malquit. Davin Roberts and John Antonino starting on row 4. Michael McGoy, Nathan Dupuis, row 5. And then you go back to Chase Gasket Lee here. So already a lot of shuffling and a lot of work to do for Chase Gasket Lee later on today. As they continue to set in some good lap times, Lucas Palacio first across the stripe there. And no lap times in as of yet. They'll set their first full green lap time here in just a few moments.
My apologies, that wasn't the 151, that was the 161 of Michael McGoy chasing around Lucas Palacio and Max Weiland, the 3rd driver opting in to this warm-up session. We'll see the times when they click off the track appearing to be a little bit lighter, maybe starting to get dry, but the drivers still on wet weather tires, dealing with tricky conditions. Palacio, the first one out on track, followed closely by Michael McGoy, waiting for them to complete their first flying lap of today's warm-up session. Enjoy some karts racing around this new Castle Motorsports Park facility. Drivers only 3 on track, but they are racing very, very closely as Max Weiland making a move around Michael McGoy. Those two going side by side for several corners in a row, just behind Lucas Palacio up front, and Michael McGoy back up the inside of Max Weiland. Weiland currently the quickest on track by 0.6 of a second. They'll come around, see the checkered flag, and that will end our warm-up groups here, Caleb.
We still have 2 more to come out, the main events of the evening, the OKN, the Pro OKN Stars and the Pro Stars. Your shifters coming your way here in a couple of seconds' time. You're watching Kart Chasers live coverage of the Stars Championship Series, where we will crown the kings and queens of the castle.
Kyle, I need a new 219 chain. I need a 77 toothbrush sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the Kart on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop akr.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at parolinusa.com.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Car Class has done the hard work for you. We've traveled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Car Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack. Pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit carclass.com to get your track information.
Back live from the Castle Motorsports Park. It is King of the Castle, round 2 of the Stars Championship Series here in Spiceland, Indiana, into our OKN Stars category. 4 drivers opting to take this warm-up session. The final time before they go racing, we'll have this and then pro shifter warm-up, and then it is pre-final and last chance quali time for both the KA Junior and the KA Stars. On track now is your OKN Stars. Shea Aldrich, Peyton Phillips, Ming Nanzu, and Daniel Piercy, your 4 drivers currently out there lapping around. Still wet conditions here at Newcastle. Everybody on those wet weather tires. Presumably dry weather later today. Just waiting for this track to finish drying up as we continue watching these karts lap around this 1 mile facility.
ready to go fast? From road race to sprint race, 4-stroke, 2-stroke, club, regional, and national, DYL Kart Sport brings a family fun atmosphere. We're here to help you. We've already got plenty of hardware here to start 2024, and with team.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're gonna need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com? They got their inventory online, and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes,
Yep.
gloves,
Yep.
rip protectors.
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shop.kart.com.
What a commercial break.
Well, welcome back to Castle Motorsports Park here as the OKN Stars work their way into the pits here. Only 4 drivers out there on the racetrack: Shea Aldrich, Peyton Phillips, and Mingnan Zhu, and Piercy, Daniel Piercy out there on the racetrack. We do have 1 DNF here in this session. Not too sure who it is, but that's a 13 actually of Daniel Piercy, unfortunately, so he's not going to be able to finish this session. But Mingnan Zhu coming across the line here for your Pro Stars, and some of the storylines coming out of this class yesterday really impressed a lot of people. I mean, Paulie Massimino struggled yesterday in the rain and looked to work his way up the field, finished 5th, and I believe averaging position, he's probably going to start outside of the top 5 if I'm not mistaken here. Let's run you down the grid nonetheless for your OKN Pros here today. 9 rows total. Daniel Piercy starting shotgun Charlie on the field. It's Nicholas Terlecki and Henry Wheeler starting on the front row. Josh Holtz drove up the field in the rain. Nobody denied him. He's starting 2nd alongside Wesley Gundler. Aiden Fox and Caleb DeFaro starting on row 3. And you have Diego Ramos and Ben Hernandez on row 4. You go back to Aiden Lorenko with Keikai Haunino in row 5. And Paulie Massimino starting outside of the top 10 on the inside of row 6 alongside Peyton Phillips. Shea Aldrich on row 7 alongside Mingnan Zhu. And then Theo Corelli and Yupeng Zhang starting on row 8. And Daniel Piercy, your field here in the OKN Stars final. Coming up next, your shifters getting set to go green here. And I mean, Simon, that was one of the classes that really surprised us yesterday. They showed us a lot of pace, and one driver reigned victorious over the rest of the field. AJ Myers, the class of the field, got out to lead, didn't look back for a second.
Yeah, he was both quick in dry and wet weather conditions, showing us his wet weather prowess with his pre-final win yesterday. Very, very quick. Also, a lot of tire management going on. When I talked to him afterwards, he was, just protecting the tire, waiting to see if rain came back or if it continued drying out. So it wasn't really full push the entire time, and he still had a comfortable margin. And Billy Musgrave also showed out really, really well in that session, coming home 2nd behind AJ Myers. Also showing really strong pace and also a lot of tire conservation, talking to Billy as well. We'll see who takes to the track this morning. Still wet conditions, expecting the track to dry out, especially for their main, which should be our final race of the day. It's Sunday here at Castle Motorsports Park. Round 2 of Stars Championship Series, King of the Castle. Who's going to be crowned king today? I know AJ on your screen certainly wants it to be him. He showed the pace all weekend. He is the man to beat here in the Pro Stars category.
And I'll tell you what about AJ Myers. I mean, last year didn't go his way and lost it to Troger. And now he has another chance here this weekend. Jay Irwin has been quick, but not quick enough to really deny AJ Myers from what's been a good day of racing for him. I believe out there on the wet weather tires with Michael Riccio right behind him in tow. And a couple of other drivers out there on the racetrack as well. One of the Maranello machines, I believe Tegan Poole is out on the racetrack at the moment right now. And a couple of other drivers as well. So we'll see what it looks like whenever they get across the line here shortly. But a couple of Maranellos on the racetrack as well here at the moment. But I mean, all weekend long, these Pro Stars have provided us great racing action. And already, this is really going to help out the turning point in the track, right? We want it to be, we don't really care, but the drivers want it to be dry. They want it to be a little bit more. For if you're a guy like AJ Myers, you probably don't care. You were fast in the wet, you were fast in the dry, and you were fast in whatever this track threw at you.
It's going to be driver preference. I know some drivers certainly hoping it dries out, others hoping it stays wet for their race. As drivers cross the line, I've got a theory that AJ isn't out there running for himself, but rather driving around and showing Michael Riccio the way around this wet weather facility. I'm not sure AJ needs the practice, but it's certainly great as the team leader to be able to help his teammates improve their driving skills. Riccio currently sitting there right in the wheel tracks of AJ Myers.
Yeah, so let's throw up that schedule for you guys here real quick. And this is going to be a super long wait for these drivers. At the moment, it's 9:43 a.m. They don't go green until 2:45 p.m. Eastern. So still a lot of hours until they get back out on the racetrack. And I'm about 95% sure that track is going to be dry. No weather expected in the area today. So you're already starting to see that clear racing line continue to form here. So for the likes of Myers, for the likes of Riccio, and for everybody else who's going to race here this afternoon, I really see this racetrack being dry, maybe even by the official main event starting. I mean, I know it's going to be driver option early on, but I think we're getting close to that turning point. A 125 for Joseph Lowney here at the moment, and that's really close to the turning point here at Newcastle Motorsports Park. We're about there. It's about time for drivers to start looking at the racetrack. You're starting to see those kind of wet weather tires burn up. This is the same lap time that Myers was putting in yesterday, Simon.
I saw a 124 from him in the pre-final yesterday. We'll see what he crosses this time by. A 127, driving fairly conservatively, leading Riccio around the facility. So definitely still wet weather at the moment, but we inch closer and closer to that crossover point where the dry weather tires will be the quicker choice. And especially, it'll be a gamble when we get to the races, especially these last chance coming up, your junior KA, your KA stars, trying to make that main event. What tire do you choose? Is it a long enough race that the dry weather tire is going to be effective at the end? Or could it even be effective at the start? The question is very difficult for all these teams to answer. They're going to have to essentially guess which way the track is headed and if it's headed there quickly enough. The wet weather definitely still the quicker tire at the moment, but it's going to be a close call when we get time to go racing.
Yeah, close call indeed by the time we get there. Again, for those viewers here tuning in and watching us live here at the moment for the morning warm-up sessions for the second round of the Stars Championship Series, King of the Castle. Remember, this is the last of our free coverage. We're going to have a quick 20-minute break in between this warm-up session and the pre-final beats, and we're going to switch over to our KC Premium stream. Again, for $9.99 a month, become a KC Premium member where you can watch all the racing action live across all racing series here in North America and watch all the racing action on whatever it is. And remember to not subscribe on an iOS device where it charges you an extra $3 that we do not see. If you do it on a laptop or any other Android device, you pay the $9.99 a month. So again, for that price, you can watch all the racing action live here. You're definitely not going to want to miss it because we will crown some kings and queens of the castle here this weekend. And it's honestly, I can't wait. Warm-ups are about to end here, and that's going to be something to look out for, Simon.
It's Sunday here in Newcastle Motorsports Park. That means it is main event time here for the Stars Championship Series. Wrapping up our final warm-up session, a minute left on track for your Pro Stars. Joseph Lonnie currently sitting at the top of the boards at a 125.3, a second clear of his nearest competitor. Only 6 karts taking to the track in the Pro Stars category, figuring out these early morning sessions as they will continue to work around the track on their final laps. Get the final running in before we get to the racing action coming your way soon.
Yeah, so they continue to lap around. Lowney the quickest. Tegan Poles second here at the moment. Michael Riccio third. AJ Myers fourth here in the pits already. Mitchell Lowry fifth. Frankie Iadavea sixth here at the moment. The lone rock machine out on the racetrack there for the 476. So we'll see what it's like for Frankie Iadavea here, still in that 6th spot. And everybody else, everybody else kind of lapping 125, 126, 127, 128, and 129. So I think we're close, Simon. I think we're very, very close here.
And Riccio going to the top of the boards by 0.04 of a second over Lowney with a 25.0. We saw 24-second lap times on the wet tires yesterday, and that's when the track really started to dry out the end of that session. You can start to see a dry line forming here. The track, it's not that far from ready for slick tires. A 20-minute gap between this and the next race. It really is going to be a mixed bag of tire selection, I believe, as we head into that event. And as you can see, Riccio, 25.0, nearing closer and closer to the crossover point. Obviously, AJ Myers already left the track. He was towing Riccio around. Now Riccio's found his own pace, going to the top of the boards to close out our Pro Stars warm-up.
And I tell you what, I mean, it's going to be driver option when we get into the pre-final Bs, and that's really going to make or break your race later on today. You either choose to go on the slicks and still not at that crossover point that you know we're starting to see get closer and closer. You decide to go on the wets and you're quicker around the more damper parts of the racetrack. There isn't as much standing water as there was earlier this morning, but it's still very, very slick here. There's a couple of damp patches, which is going to mix it up, but you're already starting to see a little bit of a clear line starting to form, and just kind of waiting for the sun to come out and shine on this racetrack to dry it up that little bit more.
And we'll have to wait just a little bit for the sun. Not forecasted to see the giant ball of yellow in the sky until later today. Still overcast here. The fog clearing, but still clouds in the sky. The track starting to dry out. We're going to get there close and quickly to this next race. We'll see what the drivers select to do with the tires. And Caleb, take it away.
We'll be back in about 20 minutes time where we're going to go straight into main event racing. Warm-ups are done. Everything else is done. It's officially time for main event racing. We'll be back in 20 minutes time on our KC Premium members stream. You're watching Kart Chasers live coverage of the Stars Championship Series, the King of the Castle. We'll see you in 20 minutes.